Hello friends, so today we're gonna discuss the first three problems from the latest LeetCode weekly contest 232. So let's start. The first two problems are not too difficult, the third problem is good, but we're gonna discuss all the problems. The first problem states that you are given two string S1 and S2, and then what you have to do here is you have to do at most one swap in any of these two strings such that both of them becomes equal or like same. If that is possible, then the answer is yes, else the answer is no. Okay, so as you can see in the first string, if you just reverse out, as you can see the B and K, then like it can become like this, or you can also reverse it in the other manner. So you just have to choose one string, and you can do at most or maximum x1 or no swaps such that both the S1 and S2 become same. If in only one swap that is possible, or else no. Now like there can be a number of ways to solve this problem out. The constraints are small, so you can also do a brute force way. Just try to swap every two characters and then check that whether like the forming string is equal or not, so that you can also do that. But what you can also do here is you just iterate over, because the length of these strings are like same. What I have done here is first find out the places which are not same. So if both of the strings are originally same, then the answer is obviously true. Else what you can do here is you just iterate over both of these strings and find out or store all the indexes which are not same. Okay, so if you find out that only two indexes are not same, because if there are more than two indexes, then obviously the answer is no, because you have to match all of the indexes. Now you just find out the indexes which are not same, find or store those indexes out. If in the end you find out that there are two indexes which are not same, then you know that okay, the answer might be true. Then just take that. Okay, if I find out that okay, the first index is not same and the fifth index is not same, then in the string, maybe the string is S, H, I, V, A and M, and the string is H, this A, I, V, H, M. So what you have to do here is, because you know that only two positions are not same and you have stored them out, just match that the first position of the first string is equal to the fifth position of the second string, and the fifth position of the first string is equal to the first position of the second string. If they both are same, then the answer is yes, also answer is no. Okay, so you just have to like iterate over this string in O of n, just find out that two positions and then check those only two positions. So it can be done in O of n, but you can also do this in O of n square also, because the constraints are small. Okay, I hope you get the point. Just try to reverse out every two positions and then check that out. So I'll show you the code for my part now. So as I've told you, if both of the strings are already same, then the answer is obviously true. Else iterate over the whole string S1 or S2, whatever, because the length is same, and whatever the indexes are not same, just push those indexes in a vector. Then in the end, if the vector size is equal to 2, then only you have to just switch those positions. And if the vector size is equal to 2, then find out what are the indices which are which are changed. So this is the first index and that's the second index. So if the first index of S1 is equal to second index of S2, and the second index of S1 is equal to first index of S2, then only the answer is true, because you can reverse them out, else the answer is obviously false. I hope you get the point. Whatever logic you can choose. Sorry. The second problem states that find the center of a star graph. So it's a very simple problem, you can understand with the 2-3 examples which are given. So the star graph is that graph in which there is a center node and all the other nodes are connected by a single edge to that center node. As you can see this, like, so they are just given some adjacency list in which 1 is connected to 2, 2 is connected to 3, 4 is connected to 2, and so on. So it is a star graph. They have told by definition that this is a star graph which is given to you. You just have to find out the center. So as you can see, the center is that node which is present in all of these adjacency list like values. So as you can see, 1 is present in everything, or sorry 2, because 2 is connected to every other node, so the answer is 2. In this, as you can see, 1 is already present in everything, so you can also find out that. So the best way possible can be just check out a number which is present in all. So because the number which is present in all has the maximum frequency. Okay, so as you can see, the n is up to 10 to the power 5. So what I have done here is just make a vector of 10 to the power 5 and just iterate over all the edges and store out the frequency, find out the frequency of every edge. And because the edge which is present in every like this edge the node which is connected to every edge is actually the center node, and it is in the maximum occurrence because it is present with every edge. So just find out the frequency, just like I'm just incrementing the every number value in this vector and then checking out whether what is the maximum value among all. So you just have to just iterate over these edges and like just make a frequency map and store out that okay, 1 is occurring 1 time, 2 is occurring 1 time, like 2 is occurring now 2 times, 3 is occurring 1 time, 4 is occurring 1 time, 2 is occurring 3 times. So what is the number which is occurring maximum time? 2, which is occurring 3 times. So that's the answer. Okay, you can just find out very easily. It's a very simple problem. The third problem states that it's a very you just have to understand the problem and try to find out the possible answer for the test case, then you can get the answer very easily. So now in this problem they are stating that there are some different classes and each class has like the total number of students which is given like this and the number of students which are passing. There is some exam. So as you can see in the first class, one person is passing and the total number of students are 2. In the second exam, like in the second class, there are 5 students and 3 are passing, and so on. Now if you just find out the pass ratio, okay, of every class, what is the pass ratio? Obviously 1 divided by 2, because how many students are passed in this class? 1 divided by 2, 3 divided by 5, and so on. Now, and the average pass ratio is the pass ratio of all the classes divided by the number of classes are out there. So it's just a math problem, but you want to increment the average pass ratio, like you want to increment the average pass ratio of all the classes. So you have some extra students, you can insert these extra students and these extra students will always pass in whatever class you put. So if you put the first student in the first class, the new average ratio will become 2/3, because like the total number of students will increase and the number of students of pass will increase. Now if I put another student in the first class only, the total number of passing students will become 3 and the total number of students will become 4. So as you can see, after inserting both of the students in the first class, the new average pass ratio will become like 3/4, 3/5 and 2/2, and total divided by total number of classes, which is 3. So that's the average pass ratio of all the classes. I hope you understand what the problem statement is telling you. So you just have to insert out this maximum student in these classes such that the average pass ratio of the final average of all the classes should be the maximum possible. Okay, so when I first saw this problem, the first thing which come to my mind is, okay, just insert the average student in the class which has the minimum pass ratio. So if you insert the student in the minimum pass ratio, as you can see now, if you draw it out also, you can become more clear. So I'll tell you. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So 1/2, 3/5. Okay, 1/2, 3/5, and 2/2. Okay, and you have 2 extra students. Now as you can see, this is 0.5, 0.6 and 1. So obviously it's better to insert the student in the minimum class ratio. So as you can see, insert in this, so the new it will become is 2/3, which is 0.667, 66667. So now it's better to insert in this now. So now if it's better to insert in this, it will become like 4/6, which is like 2/3 again. So both of them will become 2/3, which is like 0.66667, and this is 1. So the addition will be 0.666, 0.667 plus 1. But this is actually not the right answer. You have to insert both of the students in the first class only, not in the second class. So that's the whole point. Now I thought that, okay, now this is not the right approach to solve out this problem. Then I thought that, okay, just put all the students in the smallest. So there are some smallest average pass ratio for all the classes, like the average ratio for all the classes it is given. So just insert all the students in the smallest average ratio only, because as you can see, both of the students are inserted in the first class only. But as you can see, if I write out the code for that, the second answer will come out to be false. Then the next thing which strike to my mind is, okay, why this is not coming out to be true? The answer is not coming out because adding 1 to the denominator and like numerator turns out to be different for different things. Which I mean by this is, let's assume that I have 2/3, one number, and another number is just multiply 2 on both sides. So like one ratio is 2/3 and another ratio is 4/6. Okay, now as you can see, both of these ratios are same. Okay, now if you see that if I have both of these ratio, if you increment according to you, if you increment one in the smallest one, like the number, like according to the first logic, I try to insert out 1 in the class which has the smallest average ratio. The average ratio for this class is also 0.6667. Okay, and the average ratio for this is also 0.667. Okay, so as according to you that I can insert in anything out, but let's assume if you watch carefully, if you insert 1 in this thing, it will become equal to 3 by 4. Okay, and it will become like 5/7. Okay, now if I find out the answer for both of them, okay, just wait. Okay, if I find out the answer for 3 over 4, it comes out to be 0.75. But if I find out for 5/7, it becomes out to be 0.714, which means that even though like both of these ratio are same, inserting 1 on the numerator and denominator, like in this number is beneficial because this has incremented the answer by larger percentage other than this, because it becomes 0.75, it becomes 0.714. I hope you get the point. So it is not, you just have to think that okay, I have to insert 1 in that ratio which give us a more answer in the end, which means that I should increment 1 in that answer which is incrementing my answer by more percentage. So how you can do that? You just have to like make a dynamic list, and dynamic list like you can use a multi-set or priority queue. So I've used priority queue. So in priority queue, what you can do here is you have to sort out, so it has to dynamically update itself such that the top element like should be such that if you increment 1 to that number which is on the top, okay, so like they are sorted according to the delta part. Delta means that if you increment 1 to the numerator and denominator, what is the change it can occur. So as you can see, the first thing is 2 by 3 and the other is 4 by 6 now. So if you increment 1 in this, it becomes like it changes from 1 like 2 by 3 to 3 by 4, and it changes to 5 by 7. So as you can see, now it becomes equal to 0.715, like 75, and it becomes equal to 0.715, and the original one was, both of them was, as you can see, 0.667. So as you can see, the number of change, like how much incremented it has occurred if I add 1 to numerator and denominator, is the change is more here, like instead of this, because there is a small change and this is larger change. So it is preferred to make this like 1 add to this like fraction, not this, because this will bring out a more number of change, because I want to increment my final answer. I hope you get the point. So I will like sort out this priority queue, or this priority queue will dynamically update itself according to the delta. Delta means that what is the change it will occur if I add 1 to it. So it will dynamically like add up to this. So the priority queue top will be the element which has like which will give the maximum change. So if I have some student left, I will obviously put this into the first class, and then I will first take out this element out from the priority queue, update it with numerator 1 and denominator 1, and then again insert it into the priority queue. So it will again go to the correct position on which it should be, such that the top element will again be the element on which has the maximum delta. Delta means that if I increment 1 or give 1 student to this class, this will give out the maximum change in the fraction value in compared to all other changes, because it is like a priority queue, it will dynamically update itself. I hope you understand the logic part of this problem. I'll take it on the code part now to make it more clear. So this is I have made a priority queue, as you have seen, and this is the method to define a priority queue. And in this priority queue, I have used a comparator function, which is this f function, which is actually dynamically updating or changing this priority queue according to the given condition, in which I will add 1 to the as you can see numerator and denominator and subtract it from the original value, and same will do the first and the second element. So if the first element change is greater than the second element, then we'll have to do the if it is greater, then only we'll do the sorting according to the priority queue. In the priority queue will sort out such that this is the the comparator function according to which the priority queue has to sort out and put the smallest or the maximum change element on the top. Okay, that's how we have to do this. Okay, I'll link down this code in the description, so if you have any doubts you can check that code out. And then according to that I will push down all the classes into the parity queue first, then iterate over all the extra students, and then because the top element is the one which will give the maximum delta, so take out the top element, pop it out from the parity queue, add 1 to it and the numerator and denominator, and again push it into the parity queue. Then because now after iterating over all the extra students we have the final classes like configuration, so we'll again iterate over the priority queue until it's empty, and we just have to find out the denominator, like numerator divided by denominator fraction, and add it for all the answers and store this in this answer for all the priority queue. And then this is just finding out or adding out the passing ratio for all the classes, and because we have to find out the average passing ratio, so total passing ratio sum divided by total number of classes, and that's the answer. I hope you understand the logic and the code part for all the 3 problems. If you still have any doubts, you can mention it in the comment box or contact me on Telegram channel. I'll see you next one. Till then, keep coding and bye.